Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Banking App Insights session from Touchpoint Group for the month of October. And we are focusing on the US Tier 1 banks. And this market segment has such consistency in their ranking positions over the last 12 months. We thought we would dig into the sentiment of customer reviews for each bank that highlights why they rank where they do and the areas of opportunity or why, for the top performing banks, they are so highly ranked. Tony Patrick, this one has me excited because there is plenty to look at when it comes to sentiment coming through.
There definitely is, Glenn. Thanks for that. So, today, as Glenn said, so US Tier 1's covering US Bank, Capital One, PNC, and Truist. So let's get in with our standard. Let's have a quick look at how the numbers are going. So very consistent at the top there. We've got US Bank and we've got Capital One. So they're really consistent. And I suppose for Capital One is like, why are they sitting behind? So that's obviously a deeper session to understand why they're behind and to get more detail. But we can see there that Truist is doing a really good job of coming out of that low point in February to jump up to September. But they have had a bit of a knockdown in October. It's sort of a move backwards slightly. And we see PNC is also moving in a similar direction, sort of picking itself up back to that top level. But again, how do you move to that next level up to actually for them to even get past Capital One, let alone US Bank? Let's have a quick look, though, at why Truist has gone backwards slightly. Not into too much detail, but just have a quick look at what's going on. So what we can do is we can see, for example, here, what we're looking at is these particular topics around security and features and reliability. These are all pain points. So you want these things to be as low frequency as we possibly can. One of the things I've had a look at, we can see the score's gone backwards from around 3.8 down to 3.4. And what we can see is that security authentication, one of the first things there is unable to log in is at 3.1 in October, but it was 1.1 in September. So it's gone up by 2. So it's gone up a fair way. Now, biometric login feature has gone from about 0.6 up to 2.1. So that has gone up a fair way, like tripled in terms of what's going on. So again, these aren't the sort of thing that's... You want to keep an eye on these to keep these as low as possible. And if they're increasing, you want to be on top of that pretty fast because it will affect other customers as well. So we can see there's some areas there. We can obviously dive in and find out a bit more detail, but that's where that's at. We can see some clear things they can improve on. Let's have a quick look, though, at what this market looks like from a global perspective. And when I say global, I mean I'm looking here at UK and US at the moment. So let's have a look at the black grey dots just here. One of the things we do see is US Bank is actually first globally from the 60 plus banks that we track. And we can see there at 4.8, it is pretty high out of 5. So very, very positive stuff for them. Capital One is up the top there. It is 7th in this group, sitting there at 4.4. The other two, PNC and Truist, are sitting down at sort of 3.6 and 3.8. So not terrible, but they have this gap to leap up to get to these top group. Now, this is Q3 in 2022. So there's a gap between those bottom two and the top two. So what I'd like to do is explore why that gap exists. So what I'm going to have a look at here is the sentiment sitting underneath each of these banks. So if I look at Truist, let's start from there and we'll move up the chain here. So let's have a look at Truist. Now, one of the things here, what we've got popping up here is actually it's a concept cloud. So this is actually around showing us what topics that Truist over-indexes on. So which things do they over-index on? So we can clearly see, I don't have to explain this to you, the poor app check feature and depositing the check via the app, clearly a problem for customers. Now, again, one of the things for Truist is obviously there's a few other negative things in there, like things like app versions and things like that, and also things like app colors, for example, are coming through as well. So if they did fix that check deposit feature, other things are going to come to the front as well. So they need to be on top of each of those, not just this major one that's in your face as well. So a few things to pick up on there. And obviously I can click on each of these and have a bit of an understanding about what's sitting underneath that. So I'll filter down to the more negative types of things. And what I can do here is just have a look at what's going on. So it never works. It's unreliable. So reliability looks like a problem for a lot of customers, and they're having massive problems each time they try to use that. So issues there for Truist around that check deposit. Let's move along though to PNC. So up a bit, PNC is averaging higher all the time against Truist. One of the things about PNC, obviously with their connection with Zelle payment, they actually are doing a very good job there. The customers do like that feature. So good app Zelle payment feature is coming through, although a few people are having issues. So it's a bit of a mix of going both ways in terms of this. So a few customers having issues, but a lot of them, more of them are actually enjoying what's going on. So I think there's still room for them to improve on that. But we can see here, if I jump into it, it's fast and easy. Glad I use it. It's a breeze to utilize. It's great that it's easy to set up and etc. So very positive stuff there coming through around the Zelle payments. But in general, there's some poor functionality going on elsewhere across various areas, and even things like app freezing is coming through as well. Again, this is just for October. Let's jump up a bit and have a look. Let's look at Capital One. I think we looked at that. They were 7th overall globally. But I think we can have a look. So let's jump in and see. Look, so app easy to navigate. So first thing there, like navigation is one of those things, is once you get your logging in and crashing issues under control, suddenly navigation can come to the fore and actually and really highlight what your app can possibly do. So great, good payments process. A lot of stuff happening here. There's some issues with the credit card here. Obviously, there's a lot of detail in that. So, but again, we can look at, and you obviously click on that and get more detail in there as well. But if I look in here, like easy payment process as an example, we can see here it's fast and convenient to pay bills and so on. And this is like one of the most, I suppose it's one of those obvious things to say. Getting these basics right is why these leaders are up where they are. An extremely basic thing like, say, viewing account transactions or making a simple payment, if you get those right every single time, you can start to lead the market. So let's have a look at what is the global leader out of all the 60 plus banks we track. And this is US Bank. Now, look, this looks very, very different to what we saw with others. Basically, everything is green. There's one gray, which is sort of means an average score. So we can see there that US Bank is over-indexing on good check deposit, other things like, for example, basic good products and services, app makes life better, good product service quality. This is what best practice looks like. So you're aiming towards this to build up the good experience across the board. So basically, we can see the sort of, again, Truist and PNC aren't terrible in the scheme of things. They just need to pick their act up to overcome their problems that are happening right now, particularly with Truist with check deposit. But PNC can even improve more on their Zelle payments system. So a lot to do for these two banks here, but well done to US Bank. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, Tony. And yet again, highlighting how just getting those foundational attributes and those simple things right can have such a dramatic impact on the overarching experience of your customers. Yep. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We will see you next month, and feel free to sing out if you'd like us to have a look at your banking app.